All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Glad you could make it this morning. Thank you very much for coming. I feel like I should have had, like the Elvis music when I came on. Da-da-da, da-da-da. But my big white outfit's at the cleaner, so I couldn't do that today. We hope you came here to learn something and to be aware, because that's what this fentanyl conference is all about. This is the beginning of a campaign for us. It begins here, and the education and awareness goes from here. We're glad you could be a part of the start, and welcome. For those joining us, and just so you know, this is being streamed. So if the camera's on you, please shoot them a friendly, and we'll go from there. So understand that the cameras are live and hot. Anyone who's joining us from outside New Mexico, welcome. We're glad you're here. It's a beautiful day in New Mexico. Please come visit us at some point. Okay, fentanyl. Wow. What a topic, huh? We know it's a problem in our community. We want to address that. A few things to take care of, a little bit of business before we begin. You've probably been in the resource room. If you have not, all things fentanyl back there, information for you, test strip, Narcan. If you don't know about Narcan, please learn about that. Get one for your medicine cabinet, because you just never know, do you? But all the information, there it is. All the information is back there. Also, we know that things like this can be a little overwhelming. If you need some time, there's a quiet area. There's peer support back there for you, and you can talk your way through it. Just tell us what you need. We're here to help you as well. All right? If you need bathrooms outside, to the right and to the left and across the foyer, there's bathrooms on the other side. All right. So as we start this, I want you to know that this was the brainchild of Lisa Cedillo White. We were asked early on ways we could help the citizens of Bernalillo County. What can we do? What's out there? What are the issues that are out there? This is the one that she came up with, that she knew was a problem, and this is what came out of it. And you have to understand that when we do things like this at the county, we're asked this all the time. What can we do? What can we make things better? How can we do that? And that comes from great leadership. And we have great leadership at the county. We're given the opportunity and we're encouraged to come up with these kind of ideas and do this kind of thing. And the person who makes that happen, and we're going to hear from her right now, is the woman who leads the county. Great person, County Manager Julie Morgas Baca.
Thank you, Tom. Can you all hear me okay? So yes, my name is Julie Morgas Baca, and I proudly represent the county as the county manager. I love what I do, and this is why I love what I do, because we get to do things like this with you all to make a difference in our community. So on behalf of Bernalillo County and our awesome county commissioners, I'm grateful to see this large audience gathered here today, joining us virtually, that is united against the biggest single threat to our communities and families. And you all know what that is, fentanyl. I'm fairly certain that each one of us here today has our own personal and professional experience involving a friend, family member, neighbor, or client who fentanyl has affected. This wide span of hurt, loss, addiction, and damage caused by fentanyl and its pushers have affected our families and communities is also where our solutions lie. Our community, you all, us, we're taking this. We're going to do this together, and we're going to make a difference. Our community is the state of New Mexico, the Central Rio Grande region, Bernalillo County, the city of Albuquerque, as well as neighborhoods, hamlets, enclaves, and villages, urban and rural areas, traditional communities, and newer communities. Come on, everybody, let's reclaim it and all our families and our futures. We can do this. Lives need to be saved. Children need to be spared from this scourge. Our communities need to heal, and we need to rebuild. Our provider networks need political and financial support, staffing, and time to address this addiction, person by person in our communities, wherever they serve. And we all know COVID got in the way. We're getting it out of the way, and we're going to move forward together. And we're going to support our providers because we need them. They're the ones that are boots on the ground, that are serving our communities. And I know for a fact, we can't, at Bernalillo County and at the city, we can't do it by ourselves. And that's why we need our providers to help serve our community. So it's really a team effort at all levels and in all areas that transcend income, where you live, what you drive, your political leanings or party affiliations, as well as any image you may have of to be invincible. None of us are invincible. Avoidance, and that's other people's problems. It's not other people's problems. It's our problem. It's our challenge, and again, we're taking it. People seem to think it's just a passing fad. It's been around forever. And I will tell you, our sheriff's department came and talked to me years ago when I was a deputy county manager, I think back in like 2008 or so, saying fentanyl is coming. We need to be aware of what we are going to be facing. And I appreciated that talk. I appreciated that heads up, but here we are. I will leave it to the other speakers to dive into the program for today, because we've got lots of people, very intelligent people that know what they're doing, that know what we're facing, that understand the challenges, and they're here with us today, and we're going to learn a lot from them. Lisa, can you come up, please? I know you don't want to, but sorry. I want to recognize Lisa Cedillo-White. So Lisa's our deputy, don't make me cry, our deputy county manager for Bernalillo County. With help from Bernalillo County Behavioral Health Initiative, the City of Albuquerque, the Metro Crime Initiative, Lisa catalyzed today's summit, and she exemplifies the strength, the courage, the tenacity that we all need as individuals and organizations to combat fentanyl. And I will never forget the day she came and talked to me, and she says, Julie, we need to do this. And I went to our commission, and thank you for our leadership, because we can't do it without the support from them. The answer was yes, absolutely. And she hasn't stopped since then. It's been months. So I want to give a round of applause to Lisa. I wanted you to know who she is. And I want to just thank each one of you for being here, particularly the community resource providers in attendance and those who have had the courage to share their personal stories and experiences with us. You're going to hear some hard but really beautiful, heart-wrenching stories. And I truly hope meaningful connections can be made and we can all help each other. At the risk of leaving anyone out, I want to thank every single one of you for being here, for saying yes, for saying you want to get involved and saying that you want to make a difference and that you care. That means everything. That means everything to all of us. And also, I want to thank the people around our beautiful state, in our city, and in our community who gave their time, who are going to give their time, expertise, and talent to make this a success today. You all are in for an incredible learning experience today. And again, I just want to thank you again for being here and for being part of the solution. So enjoy the day, embrace it, and let's stick together and somebody told me this, we've got this. Ryan, White, we've got this. We're going to do it. Thank you.
Julie, thank you very much. You know, I guess I should have introduced myself at the top. Everybody's going, who is that guy? My name is Tom Thorpe. I'm the Communications Coordinator of Bernalillo County. So if you need anything from the county, you can always call me, and we will find you the appropriate person to answer your question. Okay? Now, none of this, and Julie mentioned it, I think you'll find a lot of people, a lot of commonalities in the room. We have it as well. None of this happens without partnerships. We partner very closely with the city on many activities, and that's very important because we're actually all one community. We all work together, and we all work for you. And we're very fortunate in that endeavor to have this city that works with us on many, many projects. I'd like to introduce for you and come up to say a few words right now is Bob White. You probably remember, many of you, he was a city attorney for many years. Now he's the Associate Chief Administrative Officer. Bob.
Can you hear me? On behalf of Mayor Keller and the City of Albuquerque, welcome and thank you for being part of this event. This is a moment of urgency, and I know there is a deep commitment in this room to meet this moment and work towards solutions for New Mexico and our community. Our theme today, Keep New Mexico Alive, is a reflection of the stakes that we face. Today we are going to learn from experts how fentanyl is devastating lives, livelihoods, and the fabric of our communities. Yet there remains hope. Just this morning, the CDC has shared that in some areas, overdose rates are declining. And that shows that efforts like this can make change possible. And that's important. Despite this enormous challenge, we can make a difference when we work together, which is exactly what we're going to do here today. Today, we are going to share knowledge and education to equip ourselves with the tools to fight this terrible drug and provide aid to our neighbors and families in need of help. The city is very proud to partner with Bernalillo County and all the partners represented here today. We know that this fight can be won by working together. Growing partnerships will be the key to getting the resources the community needs and creating lasting change. The city and our partners are also in the middle of the second Metro Crime Initiative, convening the key players in New Mexico's criminal justice system to take responsibility and support each other to fix the gaps in the criminal justice system. There are many important overlaps between MCI and our work here today. Damon Martinez, APD's Chief Policy Advisor, will speak later about this today. We are at a capacity with 700 attendees this morning and many more watching online. This group exemplifies that we have the will, the resources to make our community safe from fentanyl and to save the lives of New Mexico families and neighbors. And to show that Albuquerque and New Mexico are not a place that is safe for criminals. We are a city that will act to bring justice to those who are pushing this deadly narcotic, and we will act together to get treatment for those who are in need. Thank you very much and have a great day working on this issue.
Thank you very much. You know, when we started talking about this summit, I'll be honest with you, there was a concern from the community. You're trying to criminalize this. And that's not it. Yes, there is a criminal element. We know that. He spoke about that. But there's the recovery side and there's the help side. And that's very, very much a part of this community. We cannot deny that, and we must encourage that, and we do. And part of that encouragement comes from the people who kind of have dual roles, and we have someone here. The people who work as the healthcare providers and the peer support, but also serve in government. And we have such a person here, the chair of the Bernalillo County Commission, Adriann Barboa.
Wow, hello. Good morning. Bienvenidos. I want to ask everybody to maybe pick up your shoulders next to your ears and then let them drop. Take a deep breath. I see so many important, all of you important faces in the room spending your whole day here with us. Because why? Because it's important and because we need to be here if we want to be able to do something about this, right? I want to take a second to honor our ancestors, honor our family members who lived through this, who are holding it every day in their families, all our care providers who stay up late at night when they're supposed to be resting because the care that they have for the clients and patients that they work with doesn't end at 5. And honor all of us that have lost somebody to this disease of addiction, directly to fentanyl, or to any of the plagues of disease of addiction that are in our communities. Deep breath. Now, we can't always just be in sadness. We have to find some joy. We have to share some love. And hopefully we'll get a little bit of everything today, a little bit of information, a lot of information, a lot of resources, and a lot of connections that can make a true movement to change and make the difference for our communities happen. I'm Adriann Barboa. Currently serve as the County Commissioner for District 3, which includes the home that I grew up in my whole life and still live in Southeast Albuquerque. My mom, a loving nurturer, factory worker all her life. My father, a welder, a union steward, a hunter. He had 3 daughters. I was the youngest, the baby brat. He taught us how to change a tire, how to fix the air conditioner and change out the heater for the season. We spent all the time outdoors. Every Saturday during the summer, we had to go out and, with a butter knife, pick the dandelions by the root in our grass in the front yard that he cultivated for us. He cared about his family, and since he didn't have any sons, he taught all his daughters all the things that he would. I hunted with my father. I went camping every single weekend in the summer. But he was also, in his life, a heroin user. Started here in 5 Points at 15 years old. Then later, he became an alcoholic. And he lived in that. He died at the short age of 54 when I was only 19 years old. So I've shared this story a lot, and I've learned when I share this story to always start with the beautiful things about my father. Because I know once I say that he was a substance user, that's all that people hear, right? And then they have a vision of my father and of me and my life, right? And what that might have meant. But I can tell you I lived a beautiful life. And I shouldn't even have to say that, right? Because that's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about is this disease that plagues our families. I start with him because this is disease to drug and alcohol, and we see it change every day. The game continues to change. A new drug, a new mixture, a new cocktail. One pill can kill. We're going to hear about lots today. But I always also say that if you were born and raised here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, here in Bernalillo County, you love, not just know, not just care about, you love somebody that has suffered through the disease of addiction. And so part of what we're here today is to break through those silos, break through that isolation, take away the shame and stigma, so we could just all live here in the resources and the place we need to be where we're connecting. We're not shamed by what our family member may have been or what you might think or judge us on, or our family members on. But we're here to say we're going to grow a future together. We're here to break through all that isolation and grow a future together that, like Lisa Cynthia White and the team came up with, that is going to keep NM alive, keep New Mexico alive. So forever grateful for the vision and the people that brought this together. I'm so thankful for you all spending your time here today with us. Let's build this together, and I'm here for you as your county commissioner to do whatever I can. So thank you, and I want to learn from you, and I want to build this together. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Chair Barboa. A lot of the legislators, we asked some to attend, but they're all, of course, very busy. They have jobs just like the rest of us, right? And hopefully they're addressing issues just like this one. Congresswoman Stansbury sent a representative for us to listen to. She'd like to give us a message. Ebony Baty.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ebony Baty, and I serve as a field representative for Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury. Congresswoman Stansbury extends her sincere regrets that she was unable to join you all for today's event in person, but has sent over a brief statement that I would like to now read on her behalf. Our communities are facing an interconnected behavioral health, opioid, and public safety crisis. Every day, our communities, our governments, our tribes and pueblos, and law enforcement are working together to stem the flow of drugs into our communities. Every community across New Mexico has been touched by addiction. And as someone who has lost a loved one to the fentanyl crisis, this fight is personal to me. We need to provide comprehensive resources for healing and addiction recovery. But the system is broken, and we need action now. This year, I was proud to secure over $18 million in funding for critical community projects that invest in the safety, well-being, and needs of our communities, including over $400,000 to get fentanyl off our streets and keep our communities safe. In June, I was also proud to vote to pass the Restoring Hope for Mental Health and Well-Being Act out of the House of Representatives to strengthen over 30 programs to help address mental and behavioral health care, help our health providers treat opioid addiction, and expand recovery and support services. Statewide, only 12% of New Mexicans have access to behavioral health services. While rates of substance abuse and behavioral health needs have soared, we must address public safety, behavioral health, and addiction recovery in New Mexico with wraparound services and investments that holistically address the needs of our communities. I am so grateful for all of you here who have continued to work to support our communities and tackle the fentanyl crisis head on. In Congress, I will continue to work alongside our community leaders to deliver the resources New Mexicans need to get fentanyl off our streets, keep our communities safe, support our healthcare providers treating opioid addiction, and expand recovery and support services for New Mexicans. Thank you.
Hello, United States Senator Lujan here. I'm very grateful to have an opportunity to join you virtually for this important conversation on the misuse of fentanyl and the treatment of opioid use disorder, and give you an update on what we've been working on here in our nation's capital. As most of you know, addiction can impact anyone at any time. For some, it can simply start by getting injured and taking prescribed medication to alleviate pain. The sad truth is that many of us know someone who has been impacted by substance use disorder, some of whom have died from an overdose. It's unacceptable. Substance use disorder is a disease, like high blood pressure or diabetes. But unlike others, those with substance use disorder tend to endure stigma or blame. Now, faulting those with substance use disorder can deny them care, support, treatment. They need to recover and live their life to their full potential, and we all have a responsibility to help with that, which is why it's on all of us to educate each other on the devastating consequences that the misuse of fentanyl and other illegal drugs can have on one's own life and the lives of our loved ones. In order to better serve those suffering from this devastating use disorder, we need to approach addressing this crisis from a place of healing and treatment. Studies have shown that incarceration, as opposed to treatment, not only does not fix the problem, it exacerbates the disease, making everything worse. Focusing on behavioral health resources for prevention and increasing access to substance use disorder treatment and recovery resources across New Mexico and our country will better serve those suffering from substance use disorder and their entire communities. Here in Washington, I'm working with my colleagues to make overdose reversal drugs like naloxone or Narcan an over-the-counter medication so that anyone can get it without a prescription. Narcan is a life-saving drug that can reverse the effects of overdosing, and having it available to everyone is just the right thing to do. I'm also fighting for dedicated funding for recovery services. Far too often, those that suffer from opioid use disorder take great strides in treatment only to find themselves struggling when they leave. Recovery services meet people where they are and help them improve their health and wellness to live self-directed lives. That is why I'm pushing for funding so that those that need it can access these critical services. I can assure you all that keeping Bernalillo families and New Mexican families safe is a top priority of mine, everyone working in my office, and I'm sure every one of you in this room. I look forward to our continued partnership and working with everyone here to put an end to the fentanyl crisis in America once and for all. Thank you.
As we hear and as we found out, the support is there. Now it's about the knowledge and getting it out there. So let's begin this program. We're going to start with our keynote address. A gentleman who's come up from El Paso, Texas. If you didn't know, New Mexico is part of the El Paso sector of the DEA. That's where the help comes from there. Carlos Briano is the Public Information Officer and Community Outreach with DEA. He's been a teacher. He's been in the classroom, so he knows what kids are going through. He's heard it. He's seen it. Carlos Briano from the DEA.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for the Assistant Special Agent in charge of the Albuquerque office for being here, and some people from DEA headquarters for being here as well. As Tom said, we cover the entire state of New Mexico, and from El Paso all the way to Midland, Odessa. That's the El Paso Division sector. And so DEA is here today to talk about the overdose poisoning epidemic. It's one of the greatest threats to our safety, to our health, and to the well-being of every single community in New Mexico, across the entire U.S. DEA is doing their part, everything we can to keep dangerous, deadly, illicit drugs out of our community, but we need your help. We need you to learn about the dangers of today's illicit drugs. As we will discuss in this presentation, some of these illicit drugs are so lethal that experimenting with them just one time can be deadly. Every day we see news headlines from communities across this country of those lost to an illicit substance, primarily synthetic opioids like fentanyl, made by drug cartels. Each of these headlines up here represents a human life lost. A mother, a father, a sister, a brother, an aunt, an uncle. In the past year, more than 107,000 people died from a poisoning. That's about 293 people lost every day. That's about 2 times what's in this room right now. According to the CDC, the majority of these deaths are from synthetic opioids like fentanyl, and the rest are from psychostimulants, primarily methamphetamine. In the El Paso division, as I said, is El Paso to Midland, Odessa, the entire state of New Mexico. In 2021, we seized more illicit fentanyl than the previous 5 years combined. This is approximately 2 milligrams of illicit fentanyl. It's considered to be the lethal dose. Some of you know fentanyl is 50 times more potent than heroin and 100 times more potent than morphine. The fentanyl driving this epidemic isn't just sold in fake prescription pills. Dealers are mixing it with other illicit drugs like cocaine, heroin, meth to make their product go further, to increase their products, and to drive addiction. In September of 2021, DEA took the very unusual step of issuing a public safety alert to warn the American public about the alarming increase in the lethality and the availability of fake prescription pills containing illicit fentanyl and illicit methamphetamine. DEA does not issue these public safeties very often. As a matter of fact, prior to this alert, the last one we issued was over 6 years ago, and it was a call to attention to the dangers associated with this new illicit fentanyl, as you mentioned when it first started coming out. Locally, we issued a local alert in El Paso during Memorial Day when 11 people were rushed to hospitals in a period of 36 hours. Some of the most common fake pills are made to look like prescription opioids like Oxycontin, Vicodin, Xanax, or stimulants like Adderall. These fake prescription pills are widely accessible and often sold on social media and e-commerce platforms, making them available to anyone with a smartphone. Let me ask you, which of these pills do you think is the real one? Can you tell? Well, let's find out. How about this picture? One is a real Xanax made by a pharmaceutical company, and one is made by a drug cartel, primarily Sinaloa or Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, known as CJNG. The fact of the matter, ladies and gentlemen, is fake pills appear nearly identical to legitimate prescription medications. So how do we tell them apart? DEA's stance is that the only safe pill to consume is one that was prescribed by a licensed physician or dentist, filled by a registered pharmacy, it has your name on it, and you take it as prescribed. Outside of that, it's not safe. Even if it's a pill your friend gives you for your headache or your pain, there's no way to tell whether it contains a legitimate medication or illicit fentanyl made by a cartel, or methamphetamine made by a cartel. Even if someone tells you it's Oxycontin, Vicodin, or Adderall, you can't take that chance. Assume it's fake. These drug traffickers, I'll mention them again, Sinaloa Cartel and CJNG, are preying on our dependence on pills and will market these products as legitimate medications when it's actually not a medication and contains no active ingredient in the medication or the fake pill. So we know medical grade fentanyl is made in a clean, controlled laboratory like this one. Very strict regulations, DEA regulates those. It's typically administered in micrograms in hospitals, nursing homes, under strict medical supervision. But I'm not talking about this type of fentanyl. I'm talking about illicit fentanyl made by Sinaloa Cartel, CJNG, in clandestine labs like this one. They're in jungles, deserts, warehouses, garages, apartments, Airbnbs. There's obviously no quality control in these clandestine operations. There's no telling how much illicit fentanyl will end up in one pill or how much illicit fentanyl will end up in a supply of cocaine, of heroin, of methamphetamine. There's no regard in these labs for human life. If their poison kills another 107,000 Americans, that's just the cost of doing business. Drug dealers and those seeking these pills are using a whole new language to DEA and its law enforcement partners are seizing these deadly fake pills at record rates. In 2021, DEA as a whole seized more than 20 million fake pills, which is more than was seized in 2019 and 2020 combined. The number of DEA fake pills with fentanyl has jumped nearly 430% since 2019, which is a staggering increase. Fake pills have been seized by DEA in every state, in every city, and every community. If you don't think they're in your community, you're mistaken. A lot of people don't know that DEA has laboratories across the US. We have scientists, forensic chemists, pharmacists, pharmacologists that work in these laboratories, and they analyze the drugs that we seize. Of all the pills that we seized, DEA laboratory testing indicates that 42%, or roughly 4 out of every 10 pills tested, contains more than 2 milligrams, the potentially lethal dose of fentanyl. Remember, there are no regulation in these clandestine labs by Sinaloa or CJNG. It's literally being added to just binding materials using precursor chemicals. It's being mixed up in barrels with 2x4s, in mason jars, and pressed into pills. There's no telling if a pill contains trace amounts, no fentanyl at all, or a lethal dose, or sometimes twice the lethal dose. As we discussed earlier, 2 milligrams is considered a potentially lethal dose. But today, the average dose in the pills that we seize that are tested in our labs is 2.2 milligrams, which is over the lethal dose. This is up from 1.3 milligrams in 2017. The cartel, Sinaloa, and CJNG are selling these pills on social media sites, popular with students and young adults who like to share their stories and their pictures. But they've also become popular platforms for Sinaloa and CJNG, who use these sites to sell their illicit products. Drug dealers and those seeking those pills are using a whole language, different acronyms, texting, emojis on smartphones. These are probably outdated. I was a high school teacher. The moment I knew what my kids were doing, it changed. So these are probably outdated. But you get how they're communicating. You need to be aware of suspicious text messaging, social media messaging, Cash App posts. Those should spark an important, potentially life-saving conversation with your loved ones. You need to know that DEA works with social media and internet companies to provide them information on how they can understand how drug traffickers are operating in their space, but we can't rely on that. We have to start conversations about the dangers of these platforms with our loved ones, especially the young ones.
We are back with a tragedy for a California family that's shining a light on something that many parents may not know about, but definitely should.
Yeah, it turns out young people are able to find drugs on popular social media sites, including Snapchat. NBC's senior national correspondent Kate Snow is here with a really tragic story of that very thing happening. Kate, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Savannah. This is a nightmare for parents. Dr. Laura Berman is well known for her expertise on love and relationships. She was a frequent guest here on Today. But on Sunday, she and her husband lost their 16-year-old son, and they're speaking out because they want every parent and every child to know the danger of buying pills on Snapchat.
It's a lethal combination, teens and 20-somethings stuck at home during the pandemic and drug dealers using Snapchat to push a deadly product.
I didn't intend for us to be on the news. I just felt helpless. All I was thinking about is that this couldn't happen again. And I was so furious and helpless.
For years, Dr. Laura Berman has offered advice on matters of the heart. On Instagram Monday, it was her own heart breaking. My beautiful boy is gone, 16 years old, sheltering at home. A drug dealer connected with him on Snapchat and gave him fentanyl-laced Xanax, and he overdosed in his room.
He asked his dad for a cheeseburger, and an hour later, I went into his room because we'd been talking about an internship for the summer that he wanted to do, and he was on the floor and gone.
I'm so sorry. Sammy was a football player, a junior who was into business and just built a biosphere in his bedroom.
He was always doing little projects and full of intellectual curiosity and excitement for the future.
But Laura and her husband Sam also say Sammy was cooped up during the pandemic and bored. They say he wanted to experiment and found a menu of drugs for sale on Snapchat.
This big, colorful menu came up with some man with a Twitter handle who was promising to bring it by your house. Each different drug had a different color, the way a kid would love to see it. And Snapchat is for the kids.
Do you think your son knew he was ordering fentanyl?
No way.
No.
The DEA says people are ordering pills by common names like Xanax, but they're actually made of fentanyl, often manufactured in Mexico. Ed Ternan and his wife Mary have been keeping a tally of the fentanyl deaths they hear about tied to Snapchat, 20, including their son, Charlie. He died 3 weeks before college graduation last May.
They just are greedy and they want to make a profit, and they don't care that our kids are dying all the time.
I'm sorry.
And it's just, every day is so hard. I just miss him so much.
They founded the nonprofit Song for Charlie to warn others.
Snapchat's not the only platform where these kinds of pills and other drugs are sold, but it is certainly the most popular platform among retail drug dealers.
So you think they're targeting young people?
Absolutely.
I think that if social media wants to pretend to be responsible, this is a great place for them to change their behavior. The big tech is not taking responsibility for helping the police find the dealer.
Snapchat expressed its deepest sympathies and said in part, "We are committed to working together with law enforcement in all instances where Snapchat is used for illegal purposes. We are constantly improving our technological capabilities to detect drug-related activity."
But when they see our son and can relate to him and see what happened to him, maybe it will sink in. And if it helps one kid, it's worth it.
Laura and Sam say that is the only reason they agreed to speak with us at such a terrible time. Ed and Mary are actively involved with many families who've lost children, and they say they want to work with Snapchat. They think they could help Snapchat better understand what's happening out there and make changes to make it harder for illegal drugs to be advertised there. Guys.
Kid, it's just such a heartbreaking story on so many levels. Any tips for parents who are watching or listening? Any tips to look out for?
And it's hard as a parent of teenagers. I can tell you the biggest tip is to talk with your kids. I did it yesterday about the danger of fentanyl and how it's often packaged or sold as something else. Laura and Sam also wish that they had known more about what Sammy was doing on Snapchat. Like a lot of parents, they didn't even know the passcode for his phone, so they're now waiting for Apple to help unlock it. But they told me that can't even happen until there's a death certificate. It's just so heartbreaking on so many levels, guys.
Last year, DEA launched the One Pill Can Kill awareness campaign. Please help us spread the word. Help us share the dangers associated with these illicit fake pills. Connect people with information and resources related to these fake pills, to illicit fentanyl, to illicit methamphetamine, in an effort to drive down these deaths. Partner with local, state, federal law enforcement, partner with prevention, partner with public health organizations. Help us elevate awareness of these dangerous and potentially deadly fake pills. 5 takeaways I'd like for you to take from this. 1, we need you to encourage people to only use medications that are prescribed to them by a licensed medical provider and dispensed by a trusted pharmacy. 2, protect your medications from being diverted. Secure your prescription medications, especially the powerful opioids. Clean out your medicine cabinet at least twice a year. 3, one pill can kill. Don't take this warning lightly. It only takes one fake pill with the lethal dose of illicit fentanyl to kill. 4, remember, cartels, Sinaloa, CJNG are preying on the opioid epidemic and prescription drug misuse to flood our country with mass quantities of these fake prescription pills made with illicit fentanyl. And last, please know that the men and women of DEA are going to continue its mission to target these most dangerous cartels who are causing harm in our neighborhoods and communities. We're also dedicated to reducing drug-related violence. But the best way to affect supply is to reduce the demand. One of the best ways to reduce demand is through education and awareness. If you scan this QR code, it's going to take you right to DEA's online resources. We encourage you to help us start and continue this important conversation. It's never too early to talk to all your loved ones about the dangers of taking a pill that was not prescribed by a doctor and dispensed by a pharmacist. It really does only take one pill, one time, to end a beautiful, beautiful life. Thank you. If you would like this presentation to one of your groups, there's my email right there.
Carlos, thank you very much. Wow. One thing, if this summit saved one life, we're successful, right? All it takes is one. Start the conversation now. That's what this is about.